Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whichever part of the world that you're watching from. And welcome to Building Resilience in Rio Grande, Facilitating Corporate Action, which is a talk show brought to you by the Worldwide Fund for Nature, live here from the World Water Week in Stockholm. My name is Hajer Kubi, and I will be your host for these next 20 minutes during our talk show. So from me to you, a very warm welcome, whether you're tuning in online or whether you're here in the room with us in Stockholm. It's amazing to have you all here. It really underlines also the importance of having this conversation. So the Rio Grande, Bravo is a lifeline for more than 16 million people. We know that it has 2 million acres of cropland, and it's one of the most biodiverse arid ecosystems in the world. But at the same time, we also see that climate models are predicting a 25% drop in water availability by 2050. That means that a river that is already under stress is facing an even more larger sort of extent of pressure towards an uncertain future. The good news, luckily, is that solutions do exist, and they are being built right now. WWF and its partners are working to advance basin-wide resilience through science-based collective action, and today, that is precisely what we're going to be exploring. We'll explore what that looks like in practice, the foundation that WWF has laid already, the role of companies in driving change, why cross-border, cross-sector, so to say, collaboration is the key to long-term water security. So a lot to unpack, but luckily I don't have to do that by myself because I am joined by a stellar lineup of speakers. So a warm welcome to all of you. First of all, I am joined by Enrique Prunes, who is the freshwater manager at WWF. Welcome to you, Enrique. Then we are also joined by Morgan Schneider, who's the Senior Program Officer for Water Stewardship at WWF US. Morgan, also warm welcome to you. And last but certainly not least, we are joined by Alejandro Ochoa, who's a Freshwater Program Director at WWF Mexico. It's good to have all three of you here. As I said, a lot to unpack, so I would love to jump right into it. And for that, Enrique, if I could start to you, maybe could you talk a bit more to why it is that the Rio Grande, Rio Bravo basin is important and what foundation WWF has laid for collective action in scaling water resilience?
Yeah, sure. So thank you for that question, Hajar. And I'm just going to emphasize a couple of things of what you mentioned at the very beginning, that the Rio Grande, Rio Bravo basin is home to 60 million people, both in the U.S. And in Mexico, including 22 native nations in the U.S. and 4 indigenous groups in Mexico. As you say, it supports irrigation for about 2 million hectares or 2 million acres, primarily for the production of alfalfa and other cattle feed crops, cotton, and pecans. It also supports manufacturing and other industry sectors along the border and in other places throughout the basin. And as you said, it is one of the most biodiverse regions in the world. It is an important flyway for many migratory birds and other pollinators like the monarch butterfly. But it's also one of the most stressed basins in the world, water stress basins and endangered basins in the world. And these challenges are just intensifying by water overuse, water overallocation, and then increasing droughts due to climate change and uncertain precipitation patterns. All of that has caused the basin, the river, to lose 80% of historic natural flows.
Oh, wow.
So what it used to be pre-development to what it is now is 80% less water in the river on average.
Yeah.
It varies depending on the region. So then going to the second part of that question of what WWF has laid for collective action, we have been working in that basin for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I would say in the past 5 years or so, we renewed our conservation strategy, our approach for the basin, for the entire basin, to try to address some of the most urgent and pressing water challenges and ecological challenges. Our approach right now focuses on policy and science, restoring degraded ecosystems, optimizing whatever water is available in the system, and promoting water resilient agriculture, because 80% of the water goes to irrigated agriculture, as I say, mainly for alfalfa, cotton, and pecans. And that links to the supply chains and to some of the sectors,
Right.
some of the companies that are operating. And just to add to that, we have, as part of that, we have led cutting edge research that has never been done in the basin, including assessments on environmental flows, future scenario modeling to build resilience, basin health assessments,
Yeah.
and most recently, detailed water accounting for the entire basin.
Yeah.
That detailed water accounting includes municipal, industrial, agriculture, and power generation. The agricultural piece is we did it for 30 individual crops.
Okay.
And all of that, including groundwater and other things. We have also built dozens of partnerships with multiple stakeholders, and all of that I think is ripe and ready just to scale up and advance collective action and public and private sector investment.
I mean, all of what you're saying right now, Enrique, I mean, it just shows the magnitude of work that is being done, that has already been done, the amount of work you've devoted also to the basin itself, right? So I want to build on that a little bit, and for that I want to go to you, Alejandro. So maybe could you also speak a little bit more to sort of like the multi-benefits of this local action through like the basin-wide lens, but then more particularly, you briefly touched upon corporations. I'd love to hear from you what you would say is also the importance for companies and corporations to, you know, do more to sort of like also get involved in the Rio Grande Bravo basin's work.
Well, basically Enrique said everything. So
yeah, we're done.
we're done. No, but well, Rio Grande, Rio Bravo, it's a really important basin for both countries, for the U.S. and Mexico.
Yeah.
And in our side, the Mexican side, we got the Conchos River, that is the main tributary to the Rio Grande. And we have been working there since 2005 in WWF Mexico.
Oh, well, yeah.
So what we have been doing is working with local communities, for example, the Sierra Tarahumara, and we have been working with them to develop this consciousness of saving water, of taking care of the basin, but also we have been doing some improvement of the livelihoods with the communities, with the local communities. So what we know is that if we don't have the communities aboard on any project that we develop and implement, the project is going to fail. So this is really important for us. But also, we have been working with local authorities, so they take our projects as their own, and they help us to have a stronger project, implement a stronger project there.
Yeah.
So that's those things are like essential to implement in the Rio Grande, Rio Bravo.
Yeah.
And as Enrique said, we have been doing some policy making. We have this binational group, environmental binational group.
Yeah.
And that's a really huge thing.
Yeah.
So we can help both countries, both governments, to take care of the whole basin.
Which speaks to the transnational sort of like core element to it. I mean, that's I think another thing to get into in a little bit. But what you said about sort of like getting companies involved and also like the synergy that you can then sort of create from it. That's like sort of the ideal outcome that you have. The step before that, if I can go to you, Morgan, because I mean WWF has had done many studies that also show sort of like also the concerning future, specifically for the fresh water status of the basin, unless we make changes really quickly. How can we sort of like get corporations and companies also to sort of like begin thinking beyond their supply chain and material impacts with like a more broad whole basin approach when it comes to that?
Sure. Yeah, no, thank you for asking that. And with the companies, a lot of times you're focused on within your fence line, and you're not necessarily thinking about the fact that everything that's happening in the basin is affecting you. Everything that's happening in the basin is going to be affecting your supply chain, your employees, everything there. And so only focusing within your site, you're not really getting that full picture then of what's going on. And so you might yourselves be doing wonderful things, trying to, address water stewardship, trying to address biodiversity, trying to address climate within your site level. But the only problem is you're not aware then of what everybody else is doing within the basin. So again, you're not really getting that full picture. And the problem being then is everybody, if they kind of work in a silo, you're missing the point. We're all thinking we're doing a great job, but yet really we're not aware of what the resources are, how the health of the basin is, and then all that happens then is you're not really having the impact or the achievements that you're thinking that you will.
Yeah. Which really also like speaks about how do you sort of like align and coordinate with each other. Also,
Exactly.
that also goes back to what Alejandro was saying about the transnational, like sort of like boundary nature of it. If I take that and if I bring it to you, Enrique, so like bundling that all up, as a transboundary basin, how do you, how would you say that we should ensure that we keep alignment also like of project priorities when it comes to that?
Sure. So that's a two-piece question. And then, so in terms of alignment, as I said, WWF has led cutting-edge research and also built dozens of partnerships with diverse groups throughout the basin. And I think that's a big part of how we help connect that the local impact of projects align with the needs of the entire water system, the river system. Every community or every region of the basin is not an island, it's not isolated. And we are using that science to connect the dots of the impact projects are having and what that means for the entire system and the scale of the challenge we're facing. To add to that, another thing we do to ensure alignment is we keep track of different community watershed and planning efforts to just better understand what others are doing in the space and connect that and also identify projects that are a key for or important for communities, but that identify capacity gaps or funding gaps. And along those lines, we also participate in multi-stakeholder coalitions that are working on incorporating environmental flows into water management or that are working to incorporate other conservation measures more regional or at a sub-basin scale. And those are the things that we're doing to connect local to more basin-wide and even global initiatives, and then vice versa, how global initiatives should land in a place like the Rio Grande where it matters the most and what communities do want to see happen.
Yeah, and I mean, if I take that even further, going to you, Alejandro, like we're continuously speaking about everyone's role, right? It's a collaboration between all these different stakeholders. If I zoom in on one specific one, companies that are, for example, like sourcing from a downstream areas in Mexico, for example, if we could say that, what are some ways that you would say that they can invest in the broader sort of like Rio Bravo, like if we would also include the Rio Conchos, like what would their role look like, ideally, in your perspective?
Well, as you know, basins connect territories.
Yeah.
No? It's not like you're only in one state and that's it. It crosses a lot of states, on both sides. And what happens in the upper part of the basin, it's going to affect or benefit the lower part of the basin.
It literally flows down.
Yeah. So, for example, Chihuahua City is a really stressed city. So what we do in Tarahumara is going to affect the city of Chihuahua, and what we do in Chihuahua is going to affect also the treaty that we have with the U.S. And on the Rio Grande, Rio Bravo.
Yeah.
So everything is connected. That's why we always tell companies and invite them to understand this basin point of view, the upper, the middle, and the lower part of the basin. That's really important for us.
Yeah, and I mean, like if there's ever a showcase of the importance then of like doing this together, collaborating, I mean, this is really it, all the answers that you've been giving so far. So Morgan, I don't know if you want to add anything to sort of like the importance of why there should be investment in the Rio Grande, Rio Bravo basin, and specifically why we should have a collective approach as opposed to individual ones, additional to all that has been shared so far. But I'm also maybe curious to hear from you very concretely and very specifically, what are ways that you would recommend that we can invest in, improving the water quantity and quality of the basin?
Sure, and I think that's directly by participating in the collective action. Because again, as we all have mentioned, this is not something that we can do all alone.
Right.
We have to be cognizant of what else is going on in the basin. We have to be cognizant about what the health of the water source is. And then we have to work together because, again, it's not just the businesses that are there, it's the communities that are there. And so ensuring that they are part of the conversations, that they're part of the work, and that way we can all work together to make sure that we're moving forward, but also ensuring that for climate change, as this moves forward, the resilience is there. We're able to, withstand some of those shocks and stressors, and that ensuring then that the resilience of the supply chain, and in fourth, then having specific pieces within the collective action program, such as nature-based solutions, such as, again, working with peers and ensuring these pieces are being addressed, and they're doing so in a way that that benefits everybody as well as nature.
Yeah, my hands are so itchy because the three of you, you make it so clear. Like, we know that we are poised on the brink of the precipice. If we don't act now, we know how much stress there already is. We know that there are concerning trends that we see. At the same time, you make me so optimistic because I hear of all the solutions and the work that's already being done. We just need more of it. We need to scale it up. So I can imagine that these itchy hands are not just mine. I can imagine that the people here in the room in Stockholm are feeling them. Perhaps people watching online. So a final question to all three of you. If there's one message that you'd like the audience to leave with after listening to this conversation, what do you hope that they take from it? What would that ideal sort of action be that we need to have an ideal outcome with the Rio Grande, Rio Bravo basin? Could I start with you, Alejandro?
Okay. The main thing is that we have to invite more and more people to join this collective action. We need universities, we need NGOs, we need companies, we need local communities as well. And right now, for example, in Chihuahua, we have been working side by side with the university, the public university.
Yeah.
And it is really important because with them we have detected, we have located all the parts of Chihuahua that we need to develop projects to have more infiltration.
Right.
The infiltration sites, we got them spotted.
Yeah.
So now we need more partners to develop these projects and to implement them.
Yeah, I love that. More community engagement altogether in there. Yeah. Morgan, what would you like to say?
Same, just more collaboration. We have the science, we have, the work that's being done already in Mexico. This is the prime time to have corporates and others join us and move forward with us.
Yeah. And finally, Enrique?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a hydrologist, and I like water budgets. I'm going to put things into context. 50% of the water used in the basin right now we're finding is unsustainable. And that's the scale of what we need to do when we think about collective action. So if in the next 10 years we can invest at the scale that we need to bend the curve by 10%,
right,
and in a way that it includes environmental considerations for the river, because that will be the sensor or the indicator that the overall system is healthy, to some extent in balance, and that we are going in the right direction. That will be main goal for this collective action and other efforts in the future, just to think about the scale.
Yeah.
And that we need to put the environment back on the table, because that is really the indicator for resilience, and that the balancing of the system again. And that includes communities, companies, agencies, NGOs, producers, indigenous groups, everyone.
Yeah. I want to thank all three of you so much for all the work that you do, for bringing this message here, and hopefully also for all the great work that is going to continue to come. Thank you also to everyone here in the room with us in Stockholm. Again, I will say it again, your presence really does underline the importance of the topic. What made me at least very hopeful is that on the one hand, we know what the urgency is, but the solutions are out there. You have been doing the work, so it's really about scaling this up forward. So to all those watching online, thank you for being a part of that journey by also tuning in here today and hopefully spreading this message message forward.
And if I might just say one more thing in 1 second,
Yeah.
we have a session tomorrow, an online session at 4 p.m. where we're going to be a little bit more deeper into the detail of everything we discussed.
Yeah, I think that's
today.
a great addition. So if you want to hear more, make sure you tune in, because then hopefully we'll get even more into the nitty-gritty of everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you.